Well, thank you. A little bit of a change of pace. We're going to do with coal seam gas in Mongolia and why you should be investing in Jade gas, and particularly about this time. Mongolia, as you probably well know, is pretty well known for its Genghis Khan, for its fighting falcons, but also for its huge coal resources. And we're pursuing the coal seam gas in southern Mongolia, adjacent to the Tavan Tolgoi coal mine, which nets about $1 billion US a year from exporting coking coal into China. The gas that they mine at Tavan Tolgoi has been known for many years to be high in gas content, and all we're doing is really chasing that coal underground to extract the gas from the coal. We're actually using technology that was developed in Australia and exporting it to Mongolia. So, the Permian coals in Queensland and in New South Wales, which have either been developed or in the process of being developed, and the technology that follows that is what we're employing in Mongolia. To date, Jade gas has been active for several years, and it's basically proven up everything that it needs to prove for a commercial development, and we know that from the fact that across the border in northern China, in the Qingxue Basin, they've been developing coal seam gas for the last 25 years. So we're effectively just taking that knowledge and that experience across the border into Mongolia. Mongolia itself, of course, is very lightly populated, but believe it or not, because of its extractive industries, its active mining industries, both in coal and, of course, with Oyu Tolgoi, which sits about 140 kilometres away from our coal seam gas project, and the Xanadu Kamatgai copper gold project just 60 kilometres away from us, and the Tavan Tolgoi coal mine. There is actually quite a large market for energy, both electricity and for natural gas. So it's a unique combination of a huge resource of coal seam gas sitting in an area of marketability. Now, previously I was the founder and foundation managing director of Eastern Star Gas and the Narrabri gas project, which Santos ended up buying off us. That project's still yet to be fully developed, thanks to protest groups and state governments holding up the processing of approvals. But that project itself will certainly be beneficial for New South Wales, just like our Tavan Tolgoi project will be beneficial for Mongolia. Now, investment, obviously, timing of investments in particularly small and medium-sized resource companies can be a bit tricky. You can get locked in and you bumble along and see the share price, go nowhere. There's no liquidity, you can't get out. Well, I think it's a good time in that regard for avoiding those sort of problems when investing in Jade gas, because to date, what we've been able to do is we have a huge coal seam gas resource identified in southern Mongolia. The coals are Permian in age, which probably doesn't mean much to you, but land plants came out of the seas and oceans in the Carboniferous and Permian, and of course the huge coal deposits, or some of the huge coal deposits around the world, are Permian in age, and that's led to huge gas discoveries, whether it be in the Bowen Basin in Queensland, the Cooper Basin, the newly discovered huge resources they're finding in the Perth Basin in WA, or the Narrabri gas project. The coals themselves occur from surface down to about 1,000 metres. They're exceptionally thick. In our area, we get aggregated coal seams at any particular location from about 35 to 135 metres. That just means that the resource in the ground per unit area is very, very large. So it means that you can extract larger volumes of gas from a single well pad in that single location. The gas contents in the coal are very high by world standards. They're up to 18 cubic metres per tonne, which is about as high as you get. And the gas quality is mainly methane. It ranges from about 92 to 98% methane. So all of these things are very good. We do have reasonable permeabilities, or that's the ability of the gas to get out of the coal. And what we need to do now is put in a production pilot to demonstrate to the markets that we can actually produce the gas on commercial terms. And that's what we're going to be doing beginning in November this year. We're going to be drilling our first production pilot. And success with that production pilot will not only mean that we can enter into gas sales agreements, but it'll also probably make us a target to be knocked off by some corporate. The production pilot will consist of several lateral wells about 1 kilometre long into the coals, joining up the fracture systems which contain and are the conduits for most of the gas to be produced. It's technology that, of course, is used here in Australia, but in the Qing Shui Basin in northern China since 2018, they've drilled 3,000 lateral wells quite successfully. And one Hong Kong-listed company, AAR Resources, is currently producing about 40 petajoules of gas per year from their pilot. Like all of these projects, implementation, there are always technical challenges, but we think leveraging off the expertise that we've got. We're using major drilling out of Canada for the drilling of the wells, and Schlumberger to do the directional drilling and the wireline logging. So we're not cutting any corners in terms of implementation of the project. At Narrabri, which I was a founder of, the big problem there is we found a huge gas resource, but we had no market. At that time, the Eastern Australian markets were being supplied by the offshore Gippsland, the Cooper Basin and the Queensland Bowen Basin production. So our only outlet was an export LNG project out of Newcastle, which meant higher capital costs, a 600-kilometre pipeline and the like. The Jade gas project in southern Mongolia actually has huge markets sitting on its doorstep. You've got the Oyu Tolgoi copper gold project, which is about 140 kilometres away from us. They currently consume about 300 megawatt hours of electricity every day. That electricity is generated by burning coal in China and imported into Mongolia. As you can imagine, Rio are keen to play the green game, and they're very interested in finding a combination of renewables, wind and solar with natural gas to transition through to cleaner energy. There's the Kamatkai mine, which is developing into development feasibility studies at the moment. It's about 60 kilometres away. The Tavan Tolgoi mine consumes about 50 megawatt hours of electricity a day also, which is right on our doorstep. So we've got a very unique situation where we have a huge gas resource with huge markets for selling that gas. The commodity prices, when you're replacing diesel and you're replacing imported electricity, is high, so the netbacks are very good. So, from Jade Gas, from an investor's point of view, I'd be looking at buying in. I know the markets are pretty dead at the moment, but if you're looking for a fairly quick return on your money, I think we offer you a pretty good opportunity with the commercialisation of that coal seam gas project, and also maybe a corporate play on the back of that. Thank you.